months ago, we had a Cuts Her program over there, and I just wanted to draw attention to the heritage that public education has in North Carolina. I mean, obviously we've got public education in all 50 states in this country. North Carolina has a special heritage in that national history. When I look at what's happened with this particular General Assembly, the argument I make to people is that this is not your dad's or grandfather's Republican Party. This is a certain segment of the Republican Party, the Tea Party Freedom Works gang, that's kind of steered this General Assembly, and I think we're taking public education off of a cliff and into an arena where we're trying to privatize it and leave nothing but ghetto schools for everybody else who can't really get aboard that private education bandwagon. I want to give you some talking points this morning. That's the purpose of what I want to do is when you meet that open-minded independent or that open-minded old school Macon County Republican, that if you've got 5 minutes, you can point out to them what the heritage is that we have in Macon County and North Carolina with public education, and maybe you can bring them to vote for our candidates in this cycle. That's the first building that they put up at Western Carolina. And I don't know if you know Western Carolina's history, but it was originally a dame school. It was designed to create well-rounded, well-educated public school teachers. And it was the first of its kind in the state of North Carolina. And it didn't start off as Western Carolina University, and I won't take you through that whole history, but it ultimately served as a template for schools of education across the state. Again, it was the first of its kind. Robert Lee Madison, who was the visionary who took it in that direction. How many of you know who this guy is? Calvin Wiley. Anybody know who Calvin Wiley is? Raise your hand if you know who Horace Mann is.
He sells insurance.
Okay. Okay. A lot of you know who Horace Mann is. The fact that you don't know who Calvin Wiley is a testament to the dynamic that if you come in second place, nobody remembers you. Because Calvin Wiley, after Horace Mann, is the person most responsible for the public education movement in this country. He is a North Carolinian. And he is the person who really established statewide a strong, licensed, rational, funded with tax monies public school system. He's essentially the first state superintendent of public instruction. He exists before the title even existed. And just starting to get into his biography, just give you one little piece of trivia on Calvin Wiley. In the middle of the Civil War, when North Carolina stood in rebellion against the Union, the state of North Carolina, under Wiley's direction here, would not continue to send more money to the Confederate government to support the war effort because he demanded and got those monies directed towards public education. So even in the middle of the Civil War, we were dedicated to public education here in the state of North Carolina. And I think that's about where we are right now with our class warfare. Just to show you, again, how these talking points, I'm a big believer in what Ross Perot did with graphs, so that's why I've got several graphs here in this presentation. Look at what's happened to our income growth in this country in the last 30, 35 years. If you're middle class, even if you're upper middle class, you haven't done all that well. And look at what has happened with this top 1%. That's where the growth has been. It's not been towards the middle class. And to me, public education is all about sustaining, creating, maintaining, and growing that middle class. And in my opinion, the assault on public education is an assault at the heart and soul of the American middle class. And unless we turn that around in this election, if you look at the laws, the bills that they proposed in this past session of the General Assembly, what they did not accomplish, and what will happen if they get Pat McCrory in office, and if this current group is re-elected, and look at the language of what they tried to do, this trend will just worsen. Again, what's happened in after-tax income. this is another one of my favorite graphs. Look at productivity. It's not the fact, the distribution of wealth doesn't have anything to do with us not being a productive nation. It's not that American workers, the American middle class, aren't productive. We've got a steady increase in productivity, but somewhere around in here, the election of Ronald Reagan, okay, the money that we were generating as a middle class doesn't come back to the middle class. The tax policies at the national and state levels just have been diverted away from the middle class more and more towards that 1% and more towards privatization. If you look at what's happened to the prison system in this country in the last 20 years, that's the template. If you want to see where they want to take public education, all you have to do is go Google and get yourself educated up on what's happened with the prison system. Take the prison system, privatize it. It's a huge pot of money that they've diverted from the public system to private corporations. They want to do the same thing with Social Security, they want to do the same thing with Medicare, and they want to do that with public education because that's where the money is. These are the last untapped sources of income for them. This graph just came out a couple days ago. This is out of Reuters. Okay, you talk about job creators. This is, as we're crawling out of the Depression, this is our current recovery. When we were crawling out of the Depression with the New Deal, the bottom 90% were growing. Okay, all those public works jobs under FDR, PWA, CCC, all that stuff helped the middle class, helped the working class, while the super wealthy didn't do all that well. Okay, look at what's happened under our current recovery. The top 1%, top 10% have enjoyed most of the growth. Those of us in the bottom 90, not so much. College tuition prices. If you want to see what's happening in public education, take a look at what's happened in college tuition and look at how it's taken off. These are home prices, which we know all skyrocketed. That pales in comparison to what happened to the price of tuition. Okay? And being able to go to a four-year university, being able to go to a two-year community college, again, that's the entry pass. That's the passport to being a solid member, a lifelong member to the American middle class. And that door is closing and closing and closing, and the quality of education that we're able to deliver at the community college and university level is just shrunk and shrunk and shrunk. This is just this past year. Okay, UNC Asheville cut 12%, UNC Charlotte cut 16%, Greensboro. That means class sizes mushrooming. That means courses being eliminated. It means whole programs being eliminated. So their tuition is going through the roof at these universities, and the quality of education that we're able to deliver at these universities is going into the toilet. Western University of Carolina, down 16%. Look at how much of your income went to tuition in 1984 if you had a kid in college. 3.8%. 2010, 15%. Okay, if you talk to a family who's got a kid in college right now and talk to them about how they're counting pennies to try to get that kid in school, it's gone up 400% as a share of that median household income. Discretionary cuts. I won't bore you with all that. You get Shirley Chess's emails, fact-checking all of Jim Davis's emails. I mean, they want to claim, the Republican Party North Carolina wants to claim that they created jobs which were actually created with Obama's EduJobs program. Every kid in school this year has to take the ACT. We want every kid in North Carolina to be college ready. Where are they going to go to college if we're cutting them? If we're cutting down courses, if we're cutting down classes? Where are they going to get the money? We want every kid to go to college. And last thing I'll point out to you, the Republican Party in North Carolina took it as a Jesuit pledge that by golly they were not going to let that 1-cent sales tax survive another year. And that would have solved not all of our problems in public education in North Carolina, but it would have solved a lot of them. But what you didn't see covered in most publications is the fact that they let the gas taxes go up. So we're not going to do anything with the sales tax, which takes care of public education, but we will take care of the roads. They say, well, the roads are a public good. Well, you know what? So are classrooms. We say, well, look, all these jobs are going to be at risk if you don't let the gas taxes go up. Well, guess what? Classroom jobs were at risk as well. So we went up 2 cents on gas taxes, probably go up, I think we went up another 4 cents this past January, went up 2 cents last July. We've got the 9th highest gas taxes, and nobody's saying anything about that. We're 49th in the nation now in per pupil expenditures, 49th. And we're 46th in teacher pay. Our salaries in North Carolina have been frozen for the past 4 years. Our health insurance premiums have gone up, so we've essentially gone backwards in the last 4 years. We need this man back in office to reverse this course, and I thank you all for listening to me this morning.